Hi everyone, Bob here, and this is a segment I like to call Criterion Critique, where I pick a criterion from my personal library here, and I review it, for your pleasure. You're welcome. Today's pick is spine number 440, Guy Maddin's 2006, Brand Upon the Brain. Described by Guy Maddin as being 97% true, it tells the somewhat kind of sort of biographical story of Guy himself as he returns to his lighthouse turned orphanage run by his parents in order to fulfill his dying mother's final wish to paint the orphanage one last time. Not long after he returns, he begins being flooded with these memories of his childhood there, which include that of his father, who is kind of a mad scientist type, his mother, who is weirdly obsessed with becoming young again, and that of his sister, who has this sort of romantic fling with one half of a twin sibling teenage detective duo called the Lightbulb Kids. Maddin describes the story as being 97% true because he made a few fabrications there, such as he wasn't raised in a lighthouse. I'm kind of left with the impression that there's a few more embellishments than that, but I'll take Guy Maddin's word for it. Brand Upon the Brain is filmed in this very distinctive visual style that Guy Maddin uses in a lot of his films, which draws inspiration from a more classical and antiquated age in filmmaking, drawing inspiration from everything from German Expressionism to classic Universal-era monster movies, with everything filmed in black and white, and with title cards substituting text. And yet, Brand Upon the Brain goes even further with this, incorporating more elements into its live show, such as a narrator, an orchestra to perform the music, a live orchestra, also a live Foley team to do all the sound effects, and what Guy Maddin describes as a genuine castrato to sing the musical soul musical number. I'm not entirely convinced he got a genuine castrato for the film, but I'm not exactly anxious to do the research to find out. If you got to see Brand Upon the Brain in a theater with all of this, you weren't just watching a movie, you were getting like a genuine show. What stands out the most, however, is Guy Maddin's very frenetic editing style, where we jump through cuts very rapidly, one after another, and often sometimes we get quick little like glimpses, just like in a few frames, of things that we are about to see, as if we're recalling a memory that is really pleasurable and we're anxious to get to like the good part of that memory, or we're trying to remember something that's really painful and we're kind of giving ourselves like quick mental checks of that thing that we want to avoid the most about that memory. On the DVD's making of feature, Guy Maddin describes this style as when he and his editor was going through the daily rushes on their computer, and they would grab the, with the mouse, they would grab the little slider and they would slide it across the bar. And when you do that, when watching a video, you kind of like get these quick jerks of animation, like maybe just a few frames, and then you're rapidly going through frame by frame until you get to that one section you want to get to, and then it's just like a few frames you're like bouncing back and forth between when you're trying to get to the point that you want to get. That's kind of how they describe it, and I say that's a pretty good description of how the visual style comes off. Combine this with the fact that Guy Maddin likes filming his subjects up close, like really, really close. It makes for a viewing experience that's surprisingly intense, even during some of the less compelling moments of the film. One of the reoccurring themes in the film is the role that the senses play in memory. As an adult, when we see Guy return to his Lighthouse Island childhood home, we see him recall some of these memories by touching the blades of grass on the beach, or listening to the sound of the waves crash on the shore. Even more prominent is the theme of sexual awakening, which Guy's character experiences in the film. Namely when the character of Wendy Hale appears in the story, Wendy Hale being the one half of the Lightbulb Kids, the fictional teen detective duo She comes to the island to investigate the mysterious phenomenon of how all the orphans on the island had these mysterious holes in the back of their heads, which may be connected to this, to his mother's unhealthy obsession with staying young. When we meet young Guy, he's a bit of what you might call a mama's boy. He's constantly being showered with treats and affection by his mother, which is a very stark contrast to how she treats the other characters in the film, such as the orphans and his older twin sister, which is at best cold and at its worst just outright hostile. However, not long after Guy meets Wendy Hale, he becomes very quickly smitten with her, which is a little interesting because she is secretly pining after Guy's teenage sister, making for a very interesting little love triangle that we got going on in the film. This of course is a change in attitude that does not go unnoticed by Guy's mother. Even after Wendy disguises herself as her teenage brother Chance Hale in order to conceal her intentions from Guy's parents and her homosexual flirtations from Guy's sister, Guy still seems weirdly taken with Wendy, even though he also has fallen for this whole ruse of her being disguised as a boy. The film hilariously describes this as a boy crush. I'm not going to get too far into describing the film story out of fear of spoiling it for you. Also, it takes a lot of very strange twists and turns that I just don't want to give away right here and now. But I will say before I continue, I really enjoyed the original score that was made for this film. That was composed by Jason Starsek, I believe. I might be remembering that wrong. I hope I pronounced it right too. But it really is beautiful with a lot of mostly piano and string instruments. There's moments where it's really intense and moments where it's just beautiful and sad. I really like it. In fact, I went as far as to see if I could find a copy of it online. Apparently, if you want it on CD, it could set you back as much as like $80, maybe more. Thankfully, there's digital versions you can find on, like, Amazon Music and all that. So, I mean, I guess there's that. The DVD version, there's no Blu-ray as of this recording, sorry. Does come back with some interesting features, however. There's a couple of short films from Guy Maddin, one based on the supposed castrato that he hired to sing the film's musical number. There's another one called Footsteps, which is about the Foley team that he hired to do the film's sound effects, both of which are pretty interesting. Of course, there's also there's a deleted scene involving a mock execution of Guy's sister when she tries to sneak into the boys' dormitory. There's a theatrical trailer. Best of all, however, is probably the making of documentary called 97% True, which is a little bit about Guy Maddin himself, how he decided to become a filmmaker, how the film got made, the production of the film, how it went on tour. Very good feature. It's definitely one of my favorites, but probably the one feature that gives this film the most replayability is the fact that there's so many different narrators. Like I said, there's a narrator for the film that describes some of the action that goes on scene and gives the film a bit of extra flair. And some of them are recorded in studio, and others were recorded live before an audience. And of course, there's who else is on there? There's Isabella Rossellini, who does who's the most prominent one. That's the one that's on there by default, and she does a very great job. But there's also others. Laurie Anderson is on there. Who else? John Ashbury, Guy Maddin himself has a track. Louis Negin, Eli Walsh, and even Crispin Glover. Yeah, that Crispin Glover, he gets to have a live track. I actually prefer the live tracks because you get to hear the audience and their responses to the stuff that's going on, especially on the really funny moments when you get to hear them laugh. It makes for a real organic feel, like you're actually there getting to watch it. It's pretty great. In the end, I would recommend Brand Upon the Brain. It's a film that I enjoy a lot. It's one of my low-key favorites in my collection. It's not going to be for everyone. Its visual style and frenetic editing is admittedly very self-indulgent, though it's an indulgence that I enjoy. Still, if you're not into abstract film or the avant-garde, you might find it to be very annoying to watch or just a little too strange for its own good, but I actually love it. I've seen this film like at least 4 times now, and I still find little things about it that I enjoy. That I missed last time. It's really great. And if you hadn't considered it or seen any of Guy Maddin's stuff, I know he has one other film in the collection. I believe it's My Winnipeg. Then it's a pretty good place to start. It's where I started with Guy Maddin, and I would recommend it to any avant-garde fans out there. And that just about does it for this video. Have you seen Brand Upon the Brain? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know down in the comment section. I love to hear back from you. I love to hear your opinions. And if you have any suggestions on any other Criterion you want me to review, just let me know. I have no shortage of them. I have somewhere in the neighborhood of like just over 260 of them. I've been collecting these things for years. And I don't just collect them, I actually watch them. I really do enjoy Criterions a lot. So I'll put a link in the description to my page on Criterion.com so you can see what I have. Currently, as of this recording, it's not available. The Criterion website is going through some like remodeling, and because of that, lists are currently unavailable. So I'll have it up later, I guess. But yeah, if you do have any suggestions, let me know. And that just about does it. I'm going to go watch some movies, and I will see you in the next video.